Hello also from my side. I'm Philip from Flare. And today we're going to take a look at how we can abstract away not just the chain itself, but how you can abstract away other chains, how you can abstract away the requirement to have a wallet somewhere else, and how you can pretty much abstract away all the signing that you need to do by providing people the ability to use just intent somewhere else to pretty much expand their ability to connect with the blockchain. And why do we do this? Well, Flare is a very specific blockchain. So we started as a connecting layer to non-smart chains. And that effectively means that we're bringing laggers to the chain. We're bringing to existing ecosystem, we're bringing the people that were up until now not there. And specifically, we focused on the XRP, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. So those four were the crucial chains that we wanted to bring, not only as a liquidity, but also fully in the DeFi ecosystem. Firstly, a few things. So in the Ethereum ecosystem, we've seen a lot of upgrades that were very important from the user experience. We have Spectra, we have smart accounts, we have the ability to convert end user owned accounts to smart accounts, all these nice things, guest sponsoring, all the goodies, payment in other coins, and so on. And Fusaka has already gone a step further. We're moving to a much greater performance, considering in mind that all these Spectra things are already implemented. But the thing is that the adoption is lagging a bit behind. Even Uniswap currently does not support the payment in any other coin than Ethereum. So all these adoption things are still waiting for us. And that's the problem even on mainnet and on the main Ethereum ecosystem, the EVM, the layer 2s, and so on. And the main adoption, pretty much, I kind of had to put this on top. The theory of the adoption, the theory on how accounts should work, how smart accounts should work, and how all this should work is fine. We know how to do it. The EIPs are there, but wallets, applications, and most importantly, the simple dApps built by developers that want to explore the ecosystem are not there yet. Why is that problematic? Well, it's problematic because you really don't know how the retail can come in. You really don't know, you don't give them the ability to come in nicely. And the problem is that, as we all know how liquidity is, the winner not only gets a lot, but it gets everything. What that means is that we end up at the end with the ecosystem that's hugely fragmented. So what you have is you have a few good players implementing important theoretical things, and you have liquidity focusing on certain areas. You have everything on Uniswap, you have something on Aave, you have something on Base, and so on. And this gives you a few centers around which it's difficult to build. Things concentrate, and this connectivity across is very difficult. So the previous panel was quite nicely explaining why adding yet a new additional thing, why adding an additional protocol, why adding an additional standard on top of this is not that simple. It gives you another layer of complexity, and it also gives you a problem how to interact with it. So you can't always build on abstractions. You can't create yet another abstraction because it's going to hurt you in the long term. And importantly, we can't only think about the Ethereum and the EVM ecosystem. We need to do some improvements, and those improvements usually come with new technology, but we also have to think about existing technologies that are not connected. So it's easy to say, let us connect all the L2 ecosystems, because everything is the same there. You always have EVM, it's nice to work with multisigs, you have all this existing technology, but you also have the same people, you also have the same liquidity, you also have the same desire of users to interact. What we need to be able to do, and what really means expanding the ecosystem and connecting everyone with it, is to combine new and existing technologies that are currently somewhat incompatible. And that's the crucial point that's going to unlock the next wave. The crucial thing is, how do you bring chains that were currently considered strange, that were currently considered exotic, and the technologies that currently could not interoperate with the existing Ethereum ecosystem inside the system and give them access to all the DeFi that's already built, but we want to bring in new users that want to participate, but this user experience hurdle is too big. So why is that really the question? Well, we had a very big problem when we first started rolling F assets out, and the question was simple. So we have Flare, which is a connectivity layer between different blockchains, between EVM blockchains, between Web2 data points, between databases, TEs, private data, and so on. And the main question we came up with was, okay, which wallet do I use to connect to Flare? And the answer was simple. It's an EVM network. You use an EVM wallet. And then somebody came and said, okay, but I'm bridging Bitcoin. I have a bunch of liquidity on Bitcoin. Do I have to open a new wallet? And then somebody else came and say, okay, I'm on XRP Ledger. Do I need a new wallet? I'm using Zaman. What do I do now? And obviously, there's always this mother stock. Where do I save those new 24 words? So I have these pieces from Bitcoin wallet. I have this Zaman backup phrase, and so on. And now you want me to create a new account. You want me to associate it with the existing account. I have to move funds. And also I have to move to a new wallet that I don't yet trust. So this was the biggest problem that we faced was, okay, so we're connecting different ecosystems within the same blockchain sphere. But the thing is that effectively the technology is so different, it's really difficult to scale it by the current with the current things. But it's crucial to be able to scale it, because otherwise you have these islands that are fully isolated and you can't do anything with it. So what we came up with is an account abstraction-like solution. So on EVM, that thing is solved. And it's solved actually very nicely with the Pectra upgrade. So we know how account abstraction works. Not only that, we also know how to do this efficiently. We have bundlers, all the sequencing stuff, how to do this together, the paymaster, gas tanks, and so on. And that it doesn't only work, it's actually very nice to use. Like I said before, we have some problems with the adoption, but the thing is that those things are pretty much solved, which means that you have a lot of things already built. You have the tooling, you have the ecosystems, and so on. But we had to go in the other direction because we had to interact with those guys on the left. We had to interact with the UTXO chain. We had to interact with an account chain with a different signing scheme. So we had to rethink what actually a transaction is. So we took a step back and said, okay, a transaction is effectively an intent that something is supposed to happen. So how do you prove an intent? Well, you prove an intent on a normal blockchain by signing something. You prove an intent on an account abstraction level by signing not a transaction, but by signing a message and allowing somebody to relay it. And we did something similar by creating a set of master account and proxy accounts underneath them, which allow us to pretty much signal intents on non-EVM chains, transfer them to Flare, and then on Flare, interpret those intents as you would interpret the intents under the account abstraction on Ethereum normally. The only thing that's actually different is the fact that instead of checking the signatures, which would be difficult if you move to a different signing scheme, we only check the transaction that was done on the other blockchain. So what we do is we leverage the validator set of another blockchain to check the signatures for us, and at that point execute and consider this as the intent you've pretty much created. Why is that good? Well, I've been to the staking summit for the past 2 days, and the guys are pretty straight and are talking about very important things. We need to be able to stake. We need to be able to earn yield on so-called assets that are currently dormant. But that's actually not the thing that we want to do. So sure, BTC staking is fine. You have Babylon, you have BOS. XRP staking that we're working with very nicely with the Centaura team to produce a Firelight is also cool. It gives you an allowance. It gives you the ability to stake an existing dormant asset and earn some yield on top of it. But the crucial thing that we're building here with this abstracted way is you're not only earning yield on top of this, you're fully interacting with another chain. Why is that crucial? Where I don't want to take my Bitcoin, I don't want to take my XRP and park it somewhere. I don't want to just get users to take this, put it on my chain and generate some TVL. I want them to be able to feel that the bridge in between those two chains actually doesn't exist. I want them to be able to move between those two chains as if they were the same chain, start on one chain because they're used to it, they have a wallet, and fully interact with the other chain where something else lies. What this gives me is the ability to do things that are currently impossible. If you have two EVM chains, and if you want to move between them, that's pretty simple. The problem is that both of the chains suffer from the same drawback. Both of the chains have very high fees for memory allocation. Both of the chains have very high fees for long-term data storage, which means that moving between two chains actually just solves your liquidity problems, but it doesn't solve your technological problems because you're still working on the same stack. What this gives us the ability to start on one chain, be it Flare, be it Bitcoin, be it XRP Ledger, sign intents, and pretty much have the same wallet interact everywhere where I want. And this gives me the ability to fully leverage each chain to its fullest potential and forget that there's a bunch of chains underneath. And pretty much my latest hot take on a previous multi-chain summit was, well, you don't want multiple chains, but at least you don't want to present the fact that there are multiple chains to users. You just want to abstract this all away and forget about it. There's 7 layers in the TCP IP stack, and damn it, I forgot pretty much all of them as soon as I stepped out of the classroom. But the thing is that this stuff should just work, and we should abstract this all away. And we did this quite nicely by obviously overcomplicating the things. So this is a simple example on how it's supposed to work. So you have a user account, you have some operator accounts moving things around, and the main idea is that what we have is an independent operator in between, which anyone can run in a fully permissionless way, that is doing exactly one thing. It's sponsoring some gas on Flare that allows you to take a transaction, take an intent on the XRP ledger, take an intent on Bitcoin, take an intent on Dogecoin, transfer the intent via FDC protocol to Flare, check it on Flare, pay for some gas, and interact with it. And what this gives the user, it gives them the ability to just do everything on their native chain, whatever the native chain is, and then nicely abstract this away. Furthermore, what this gives us is the ability for the dApp builders, the ability for application builders, the ability for anyone that's building on the chain where users start to take the existing infrastructure that we have, to keep our operator, to keep one of the staked operator that's currently operating on the network, and say, okay, as long as I'm sending sufficiently information-rich payment memos, as long as I'm sending intents with enough funds to cover the gas costs, I'm sure that somebody is going to take care of moving those messages over and doing this for me. What this allows you is to have a set of builders, of application builders, that can pretty much take the whole thing, just create 2, 3, 5, however many they want, a few memo fields, a few buttons, and nicely pack whatever they want to do in their application into a sequence of commands, into a sequence of intents, and then push all this on chain to the operator, and then the operator takes care of the rest. The important thing, and that's pretty much what we were really aiming for, is the fact that this is fully extensible. So anyone can pre-program an intent. You don't really have to pre-program it. The only thing that you have to do is you have to provide some call data and an additional hash, put this on chain, and now anyone can see the intent, anyone can check it, anyone can verify it, and you're sure that this trustless execution set is going to execute it. Because it's really easy to say, look, we have a bunch of executors, they are staked to provide liveness, and that's it. And apart from this, because you can chain and abstract computations, this gives us a way to abstract away difficult tasks. So, for example, the asset minting used to be a 5-step process. With smart accounts, we were able to simplify this to a 2-signature process that now completes in 1.5 minutes instead of waiting 5 minutes. And the only thing that user does is they start on the source chain, sign 2 transactions, pay some additional gas fee, and then the rest is taken care of by the system. What this means in practice? Well, in practice, this means that we can leverage the whole XRPL ecosystem, we can leverage the whole Bitcoin ecosystem, we can leverage the existing wallets. Importantly, we can leverage the existing apps that do not need an additional audit to be done, that do not need any modifications because they're still signing the same messages, they're just adding some intents on top of the existing transactions. And this allows us to only change some stuff on the front end to make a bit more complicated transaction, and this gives you an intent to fully interact with the other chain. So in practice, we have a huge collaboration with Zaman that's coming out pretty soon. This allows us to have not just Bitcoin and XRP staking, this allows us to have full integration in the DeFi ecosystem. So this doesn't give you XRP staking, this gives you XRP Fi. This doesn't give you BTC staking. This gives you full BTC Fi. So I can now put my Bitcoin on another chain, wrap it trustlessly, and then put it into a Uniswap pool. I don't have to have it stay there. I can now interact with an EVM ecosystem. I can now interact with the layer 0 bridge and move it over to another chain without ever leaving my wallet or without having to transfer something to my wallet. And as said before, it's fully extensible and it allows me to modularly integrate this into the dApp. So any dApp that wants to use it doesn't have to build the whole background on its own. They just have to provide few intents, send them to smart contract, and then they're done with it. So yeah, that's it. This allows us to abstract away this chain complexity, abstract away the wallet complexity, keep the wallets the same as they are, and at the same time, bring the laggers into it. Not just bring the capital, not just bring the liquidity, but also bring the people that want to use stuff to new chains that can now do more with people that always wanted to do more, but there was this hurdle on how to move there, what to do, how to change it. Thank you.